Like that, like for a teenager in 1999, that's probably like the dream vacation, like the dream spring break. I would love to never to just stay away from
Well,
something like
because
that.
you're an old guy who would be looking at barely legal teens.
Now that's a movie that I liked.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I finally
Watched.
I finally
Watched.
I
finally
watched. I
finally
watched.
I finally
Watched.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of I Finally Watched. This is David.
And this is Alon, and I finally watched She's All That.
And I do want to say before we start that we've had to push this recording back like 4 different days because I'm battling sinus infection / the flu. But I'm a gamer, so I'm here tonight because also, like, if we don't do this, we're not going to get this out in time.
Also, your voice actually sounds like pretty good.
Sexy?
Yeah, like low and raspy. Yeah, I'm digging it.
That's not what I was going for. So I saw this movie when it came out. I don't think this is one that I went and saw in theaters, but it could have been. I don't remember it.
You rented at Blockbuster?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. And I remember liking it quite a bit, but as the years have passed, I probably thought, oh, it's not that good. It's not going to hold up. And I was wrong about that. It actually is pretty great. I gave you this, this is the way I want to start. I gave you this thought exercise in the beginning, and this was before I'd rewatched it, where I was like, what if you swap all the male parts? Swap Matthew Lillard, Paul Walker, and Freddie Prinze Jr.'s part.
In
Where I think
which order though?
so Matthew Lillard would play the Dean Sampson part, Freddie Prinze Jr. would play the Brock Hudson part, and then Paul Walker would be the main character. And as I finished the movie, that doesn't work. I think when I was originally coming up with that idea, I was watching like the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie, and I think Paul Walker's characters and his acting is kind of bad in the beginning of this.
It is.
Like his fake laughter at Freddie Prinze Jr. and all that. Yeah, like it's not good. As the movie goes along, it's better. And, I don't want to shit on Paul Walker because I like a ton of stuff he's been in. But the opening is a little rough with him. And then Matthew Lillard would have played it differently. But the beginning 30 minutes of Matthew Lillard as Dean, I think would have been excellent. Like, he's great as that role. And the guy that they got to play that role in Not Another Teen Movie really reminds me of like a Matthew Lillard type a little bit.
The Dean role in Not Another Teen Movie. Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, okay, so he was going for like a Ryan Felipe sort of vibe with that, right? And that is not what Paul Walker kind of brought to the table. And it was way more like, instead of like preppy rich kid, it was way more jock oriented, right? And I think as the movie continued, I found, because I could see what you're saying about the swapping of the roles, but as the movie continued, I just felt like Matthew Lillard was like born to play Brock Hudson.
Absolutely. I agree. And I think Freddie Prinze Jr. turned it around a little bit for me, too. He was definitely a little bit subtle in the beginning. I also think it was really smart to not have him be the football star and instead focus on soccer.
Yeah.
Although I will say the soccer in this movie was real bad.
You mean the one scene that they played soccer in?
They could have done a little bit better. And he just tried to blast it.
So I couldn't get over Freddie Prinze Jr.'s scowls in the beginning. Like, he just scowled at everyone. I thought that was a little, like, when you say subtle, I don't quite know what you mean, because that was a little on the nose for me. Like, he fucking looked like he was gonna kill someone.
Yeah, well, a couple of the parts where he's like, I don't know, I thought the writing wasn't great in a couple parts where, like, so Simon, Rachel Lee Cook's brother is getting picked on, played by Kieran Culkin, and he comes in like it's an after school special and is like, "Hey,
Yeah.
lay off of him." You know what I
That
mean?
almost felt like a like an inserted scene from something else.
Well,
Like,
and then the
it's
craziest
so
part about that,
separate.
he makes these 2 kids eat pubes,
Right.
and then after that, him and Rachel Lee Cook share a look, and I have no idea what that look was.
Like,
Her
I
it was
got your brother's back.
they were
I don't
both
know.
dead-eyed. Yeah, I couldn't tell if she was happy or sad about what he did.
I mean, I think the movie wants you to think they're happy about it, but the
I
so
agree.
I told
Based
you
on other scenes, but not on their acting.
I told you I've never seen this movie, but the pube eating scene is so like eh, ingrained into the back of my brain. Felt like I have seen this movie because that is the only scene I remember from this movie. I'm curious too if I've only seen a clip, but it's like that. I didn't realize how much that scene haunted me after all these years.
Yeah, it was pretty gross.
That and
So
like the ending where he had where because somehow I knew it when he's like, "Yeah, I lost the bet," and she's like, "What are the terms of the bet?" And then he just smiles. I go, "Wait, he's naked at the graduation," and somehow I knew that, and I was like, somehow I have this movie seared into the back of my long-term memory bank.
So do you know who came up with the scene, the idea for what the terms of the bet are and him having to be naked at graduation?
Like the writer, like
Yeah. So
I want to say okay, this is 1999. All right, I want to say Joss Whedon.
no,
Okay, or
you'll never guess in a million years.
this is like um who's the director of the Predator movies, the first one?
I don't I mean, are you saying Shane Black?
Oh no, it was someone else, and they were like on the plane and they ran into James Cameron. James Cameron was like, "It would be better if the Predator looked like this." Is it one of those stories, like just a
N
random happenstance? No.
no, so they brought M. Night Shyamalan in, and he did a pass on the
Oh,
script, although
I
that's,
would
like
never
I
guess.
know, it's hotly debated and contested, and in fact, like, in some interviews I read, uh, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Rachel Lee Cook, like, didn't know that until years later that he had worked on it, and,
Mm,
like, he wasn't the writing credit goes to the guy who originally wrote it. Um, but yeah, like the story goes that they brought him in for like a couple of things, and then also because we're talking about the pube scene now. So this was a Weinstein movie. This is
yeah,
from Miramax,
right.
and I guess they had to go into great lengths of discussions about the pube scene. Like Harvey wanted to cut it, and then all right, well, if we're gonna keep it in, how many pubes?
Harvey
What
was
can we
probably
show?
like, as long as it's a woman's pews, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. No, I don't think it was that. So it's just there are no like allegations from this that Rachel Lee Cook was quoted as saying like after everything came out that well luckily enough I didn't have to she's like I never even had lunch with the guy so he didn't do anything to me but
Yeah, but
um
she also isn't in anything after this, barely. So
Rachel Lee Cook I mean she's in He's All That right
there's a he's all that.
yeah it came out in the last couple of years and it stars Addison Rae
What?
yeah it
Oh shit! And that shit eating grin guy from the Karate Kid remake. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
But also Rachel Lee Cook is in a movie that we are going to do, which is Antitrust, and then she did Josie and the Pussycats.
Matthew Lillard's in that too. So is Courtney Kardashian. Oh well, okay. So they just let anyone in this movie. I
Well, I
get
mean,
it.
it's an influencer movie. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
let's get started with the movie. The movie starts out with a song by Remy Zero, which is a band that you don't have never have you heard of them? Do you know who that is?
Dude, Remy Zero did the theme song to Smallville.
I didn't know that you would recognize.
Of course, I know.
I immediately recognized the song because from their song on Smallville, I like downloaded their first CD.
There's this scene. So I love Smallville. And I watched through and through like 4 or 5 times. But I watched it one time with Taylor, and there's we meme this all the time. It doesn't even have to be Remy Zero, but it's just so much funnier if it is. there's this like ending scene in like season 1, season 2. It's the finale of those seasons, and they got Remy Zero to play the prom or like the homecoming band at
Oh,
like
really?
the Smallville High homecoming, and they start playing, and Pete Ross, who's a character on the show, turns to Clark and he's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they got Remy Zero here." And so every time I just like listen to it casually, like it comes on the radio, I turn to Taylor. I'm like, "Oh my god, it's Remy Zero."
They did a very similar thing. I can't remember the name of the band they did it for, but in the OC,
Oh yeah, that's right.
the
Yeah, they name dropped
the band, and it
the
was a
band.
band that did like a song. Yeah, I can't remember.
Don't.
Yeah, but it was the idiot guy who like becomes friends with Ryan later on. Was like,
Yes. Wait,
oh my god, I
Adam
fucking love.
Adam Brody?
No, the
Oh.
guy who was dating Marissa in the beginning.
Oh, okay. So I don't fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure.
Rooney?
Ooh, that's a good memory, David.
I think it is, right?
I think you're right.
I think he's like, oh, I fucking love Rooney. And it's like he had first heard them like that day. Anyway,
No,
let's go
hold on. I
back.
just want to say that don't fact check me on this, but the band that they got to play at the prom for Not Another Teen Movie, I'm pretty sure it's Good Charlotte.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I was a pretty big Good Charlotte fan back
So
in the
anyways,
day.
continue. Remy Zero, my favorite band.
So this is obviously an adaptation of Pygmalion, and then also like the most other famous adaptation of that is My Fair Lady, which I've never seen.
I have when I was really young. I barely
Isn't
remember.
My Fair Lady like 4 hours long?
I don't know. No,
think it's-
it can't be because it was on one VHS and Titanic was on two. So that's how I know.
Okay, so anyway, um, for my generation, this is like the original, and they make fun of this so much in another teen movie, but this is the original like hair all askew. She wears glasses, so she's ugly thing. It's almost like a Clark Kent type thing where it's like you can't see that someone's pretty because like their hair is
Don't
like not
don't forget
great.
the pink color covered overalls.
What's funny is so I think in Not Another Teen Movie they like her hair's up in a ponytail, and then she's wearing glasses. Which, by the way, the woman in Not Another Teen Movie is it's obviously purposely done. She's so hot looking that way, and then obviously hot the other way.
Yeah.
But in this
Also,
one,
they look alike too. The girl from there and Lee Cook.
Rachel Lee Cook. What's funny in this, and this isn't something I would have noticed as a kid when I watched this. So Rachel Lee Cook looks really good with glasses, but her hair is long in this, which she looks better with short hair. But her hair was so fake. Like her hair, her long hair was fake, and I wouldn't have noticed it as a kid. But as an adult, I was like, "Oh, that looks so ridiculously bad."
I wasn't paying attention. I was distracted by the pink covered overalls.
It's just too much.
There's so many funny moments in this movie and Not Another Teen Movie that I have difficulty separating them. And what's even better is like this happens in Varsity Blues and Cruel Intentions, where it's like, was it the original or did Not Another Teen Movie make fun of this? And I think the fact that you can say that in these types of movies really goes to the fact that these were not taking themselves that seriously, which makes them like that much more entertaining.
I agree. What's the other weird thing about this, and this is a Weinstein thing, is that it just has a bunch of like stunt casting in it, right? So it has Little Kim in a part where she barely says anything.
Right. It has Usher.
So the Usher thing's really funny because Usher is like in the beginning of the movie, and then they add that dance scene at the end, you know, the dance scene with Taylor Vaughn and like all the other people, and it's obviously like professional dancers.
I'm so surprised that no one knew that everyone at the school is a professional dancer.
So apparently the only way Harvey would agree to that, and I hate that I keep using his name, so I want to do it less, but they had to fight over that dance scene, which is funny. So Robert Iskov is the director of this. He was formerly like a choreographer, like, and so he directed, or he did the choreography for Jesus Christ Superstar. And then for that dance number, they brought in Adam Shankman, who was a choreographer and then has since directed like some pretty good movies that I like. He directed A Walk to Remember. Right after this, he
Mm,
directed The Wedding Planner and A Walk to Remember in 2001 and 2002.
okay.
But he brought him in for that dance scene because Adam Shankman's sister was producing the movie. And so they had to fight Harvey over keeping the dance scene in. And the only way he would do it, he's like, all right, well, we have to bring Usher back. Usher was on tour. So they went to where he was touring and created a fake DJ booth in a room. And so if you watch back the scene with Usher, he's just by himself with nothing else
That
talking
makes
into it.
sense.
Yeah. So he's like not really a part of the prom at all either.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny because DJs at like those types of proms, they're just like they put on the music, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in Not Another Teen Movie, they make it a point to be like the DJ is like fucking break dancing in the DJ booth. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it.
Usher's actually one of the best parts of the movie in that they use him very smartly for some narration and some exposition points of the movie.
Yeah.
Like later on, like obviously they have the part where he talks about Zach and getting broken up with, but there's later on when he's sort of setting up like the race for prom queen and king and all that. Like it's actually a really smart thing to have him like as the radio voice of this because it's expository, but it doesn't feel forced at all. It feels natural.
Usher.
The other thing about this is so Not Another Teen Movie really makes fun of the like the token black guy aspect.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up too because like in Not Another Teen Movie, the joke is like all they do is stand there and go, "Shit, ooh,
Whack.
that's
That shit
whack.
is whack.
That shit is whack." And actually, that those lines very specifically verbatim is said by Paul Walker.
Yeah, and also like I mean there's like first of all there's a lot of black characters in the movie.
Yeah.
And Dule Hill like he is definitely a side character but he's not given like token characteristics to do in this movie. Like in the beginning he does call someone a bitch.
He
Um
does. He does.
but like otherwise like it's a pretty fleshed out side character and like he's not I don't know. But I do get that like obviously the point of Not Another Teen Movie isn't making fun of this specific movie. It is making fun of the fact that there are like a lot of movies that were predominantly white.
No, of course.
I just did think it was funny that after watching Not Another Teen Movie, if you hadn't seen this one in a while, you're like, that's what that character is in this. The other thing is too, is like the movie's so short, the Dule Hill character, is he dating Gabrielle Union?
So he's dating Gabrielle Union, and the dude, one of my favorite jokes in this movie is Dule Hill's family is super rich, and they go, "Oh, he owns Harrison Ford," and she goes, "The actor?" and go, "No, the car dealership." And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. What? And then I was like, oh fuck, the town they live in is Harrison.
Right. It's a good joke. It's definitely a good joke. So let's get back into it. The start of this is just really setting up the movie. When I said this is a 95-minute movie with like only like 3 minutes of
What
credits
about
at the end.
her? Nah, too easy. What about her? Dude, I can handle fat and I can handle weird boobs, but not a bad attitude and a.
I did think,
What do you
not
say?
an,
Not a bad attitude and an unapproachable constitution.
and just mean, right? Like
Yeah.
mean, bad attitude. And so I did think that explanation was kind of a smart. It's more sophisticated than what you remember it to be, where he's just like, oh my God, with glasses, because once again, Not Another Teen Movie has so overtaken your remembrance of this one.
Okay, so this other that's true too, but this joke in Not Another Teen Movie where they have the Siamese twins connected at their head, and they're like, how about
I actually don't think you're allowed to say Siamese anymore. I think you have to say conjoined.
oh, okay,
But actually, I think we might even be past conjoined, but just continue.
whatever, the twins
The
connected at the
connectables.
head, yeah. The connected twins, that's what the new name is gonna
By
be.
telepathy.
They're like, how about the twins, the connected twins? And he's like, dude, too easy. It's like, but later on, they're talking about Lainey in this, but it's Janie and not another teen movie. And they're talking about Janie. It's like, look, tell your four-eyed freak to get away from her or to get away from me. And the conjoined twins are just standing behind them. They're like, ah, rude.
So the guy that plays the Paul Walker role in none other teen movie is Eric Christian Olsen. I fucking love him, like
Yeah,
in
he's great.
everything, and
He's
he
great.
should be a bigger star because he like has like a more subtle Ryan Reynolds like persona, right? Like he's very sarcastic and dry and witty, but like Ryan Reynolds kind of uses it a little too much at this point. It's like a little too over the top sometimes.
Sure.
So the beginning of this is when Zach's girlfriend breaks up with him, and I gotta say, like at this time, this girl so plays Taylor Vaughn is Jodie Lynn O'Keefe, and this reminded me something else of doing this of like all of these teen movies at these times, mostly like you would consider them like sex comedies.
Yep.
So you have like Can't Hardly Wait. Did you ever see Trojan Wars?
Of course.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Where it's Will Friedle fighting for the condom?
Well, it's not. I didn't know it was Will Ferrell, but it's the
No,
guy.
not Will Ferrell. Will Friedle. Friedle.
Yeah. I guess the guy from what Boy Meets World or whatever.
Yep.
Yes. I fucking have never talked to anyone else who's seen that movie.
So he goes around, he tries to find a condom to get laid, right? And he goes to like convenience store, and then it just kind of unravels from there.
Yes, absolutely. That movie is like, I need to watch it again because at the time I was like, this is great, but I was also like a little kid and it was like a sex movie.
I used to get that movie and Troy confused.
Troy?
It's a joke.
I gotcha. And then the other one that I made, which Jodie Lynn O'Keefe was also in, is Whatever It Takes, which comes out a year later. It's got James Franco, and then a couple other people who you would recognize but maybe not know their names. It's got the guy from A Walk to Remember. I can't think of his name exactly right now.
Yeah.
Shane West.
That sounds right. Have you ever seen Beer Fest?
Beer
Beer Fest was another one.
Was another what?
Was another like sex comedy.
It's not a teen sex comedy from the 90s. Beer Fest came
Beer
out
Fest is early 2006, early 2000s.
That's mid to late. And it's not about teens. Anyway, it just Whatever It Takes is also kind of you've never seen that one, right?
No.
What's interesting has Jodie Lynn O'Keefe in it as well. We did Cruel Intentions, which is based on Dangerous Liaisons or whatever. We did this one based on Pygmalion, and then Whatever It Takes, a third teen movie comes out a year later, is Cyrano de Bergerac. So it is weird, this little bubble of time where they're making these teen movies that are based on like classic books, plays, whatever. But that's another one that I think like we should do at some point.
You know what was so odd about this is the random Melissa Joan Hart cameo in this movie.
When is that? I never saw her.
No, okay, so it's like right after the pube thing. Oh no, it's sorry. It's right before the pube thing. It's in the
That's
cafeteria.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Is it Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Yes, you fucking idiot. That's hilarious.
Because he goes up to her table and asks if she wants like another water. Or
So
something.
the reason she's in this, that's the high school from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, so it makes sense if she went there.
And then also she had differing reports on whether she had just started dating Freddie Prinze Jr. or they started dating after this. But yeah,
So speaking of Melissa Joan Hart, have you ever seen the movie Drive Me Crazy? It came out the same year.
I'm not.
With
But we're only speaking of Melissa Joan Hart because you got her and Sarah Michelle Gellar mixed up. Let's get back to it. So Zach's girlfriend breaks up with him. I love the continuous breakouts
jokes at his expense,
but to the real world episodes, showing him in like the different bits. I love the going to once we were talking about TRL like last episode and the episode before because the like around this time, and showing the spring break in Daytona. Then her dancing and then meeting. But
I do love her like narrating the story as we see it. She's like, so there's this pool party and I stood on the float, and like the transitions from that and back to the school were cool. I do have to say, I guess being like 30 years old, in my 30s, I should say, and looking at this, I was like, God, I would pay to never have to go to a party like that. Like that, like for a teenager in 1999, that's probably like the dream vacation, like the dream spring break. I would love to never to just stay away from something like that.
Well, because you're an old guy who would be looking at barely legal teens. So it's just kind of, you'd be
Now
gross.
that's a movie that I liked.
Barely, yeah, I
Yeah.
bet. So
Girls Gone Wild.
she breaks up with him. I do love the, oh, you thought we were gonna date in like date in college? Oh, that's so sweet. And then her getting that back later on when he's like,
There's
you
a
thought we were gonna date when I went to the Road Rules
third one.
challenge?
There's a third one too, isn't it? Freddie Prinze Jr. says it to her again. There's like a third. It was beat over the bush, like beat over the head like 3 times.
I don't remember. Oh, you thought we would still go to prom?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe it didn't. It wasn't like positioned the same way to me. So, and then I love the little cut to him getting the tattoo of his own face as she's breaking up with him.
Dude. And then he's singing the song and he's pointing at his tattoo. He's like, me, me, me.
Yeah. So then we go to art class, and I only bring this up to say that. So Clea Duvall plays just a bitch in this movie who hates Lainey more than anyone else in the school for no reason.
So we both decided that you should just kill yourself.
She also can't pronounce posthumously correctly.
Yeah, that
She's like,
bothered
all
me.
these artists died posthumously. I thought there was going to be some sort of, I forgot how that character arc sort of went. So I thought there, like when she's drunk later, there's going to be a little bit of like them like coming to terms. And I actually prefer the direction we went in.
Dude, she looked like Lainey was gonna look like she closed that bathroom door like she was gonna fucking kill her.
Yeah. So we already talked about like the setup of the bet. What's funny is after they set up the bet, I was like, there was no terms to that whatsoever. But I do love the way they reveal it, where they don't
Oh, it's
even,
great.
because they don't address it at all. They just say, you want to make a bet? Let's make a bet. And then they don't address terms at all, because if they start to address terms, then you'll be thinking about it the whole movie. The fact that they don't even mention it, you're just like, I guess it's just a gentleman's wager, but it's not. And you find out what it was.
Or money, like something trivial. Yeah.
Trivial to these people.
No, I just meant trivial to the plot.
So after this, I love when he first goes up to her and she like won't even talk to him, but he goes, I think he says to Simon, hey, what up, Spaz? He's like, he knows my name. She's like, that's not your name.
No, that was later. He actually first goes up to her when she's alone working at the falafel restaurant, and
No,
the guy.
that's after.
I'm pretty sure it's not.
Right after the bet, he goes up to her at school and she
Oh,
leaves.
like immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe. And then I love the guy at the falafel where he's like, supersize my balls.
And so that guy reminded me of, remember in Grind, the Brian Posehn character who was just trying to get free food?
Yes.
That dude was totally just trying to get one piece of free falafel before he then ordered. He's like, maybe if I could have a sample size, I would know. Also Anna Paquin is the sister, which like totally, this is like just a couple years before her 25th hour.
Yeah.
And I guess she was like probably exactly 18 for 25th hour, because she was 16 in this. So she's like only 18 or 19 for that, which we probably talked about then. And then we see all the letters to like Dartmouth, Yale, and Harvard. I read an article because we pushed this for so long. I was like, I guess I'll do a little extra research. And there was this article that was like a reading about this from like a misogyny and white privilege standpoint. I didn't finish the article because I thought it was like very poorly written. But one of the things that I did agree with that they pointed out is like the biggest struggle for Zach is figuring out which fucking Ivy League school to go to, because he's just been accepted to all of them.
Actually, I do like the joke slash like breaking the oh, she's a loser so she must be smart, and he's popular so he must be dumb. And then at the falafel place she's like, what do you need help with? Studying? Because I gotta tell you, I'm not that smart. And he's like, Lainey, I have the 4th highest GPA in school. I don't need your help. And then he comes up with the bullshit art thing.
When I love too the friend who's his name is Jesse Jackson, but he's the guy from the Mighty Ducks movies. He's one half of the Bash Brothers.
Who? In what movie?
In this movie?
In this movie? Who is he?
He's Jesse Jackson. He's the friend who you think might be gay for most of the movie.
What are you talking about?
That's one of the Bash Brothers.
Oh, fuck. Dude, that's so funny that you say that that's
Actually,
how
now
you
I'm questioning myself. I actually don't think he's one of the Batch brothers.
he's not, that's Foggy from Daredevil.
I
He's
was like,
have you ever seen The Mighty?
you can at least admit. Oh wait, no, he is Fulton from the Mighty
Oh,
Ducks.
he
Fuck
is?
yeah, yeah.
So
I
he's
knew I was right. I knew I was right.
have you ever seen The Mighty with
I've not seen the Mighty.
okay, so he's also in The Mighty, which is and how I know him is he's an adult and he plays Foggy Nelson from Daredevil, the TV show. Um, but dude, he's in a bunch of shit I never realized.
Yeah, he looks slightly different in this, but the whole movie, I'm like, is this kid gay? Because he's the best friend of the weird girl.
You're thinking of Not Another Teen Movie where they play into the trope of the best friend of the weird girl is gay,
Well,
but also in love with her.
I think they're playing in that in this one because he's like, there's certain points where he's like, dude, I've never had feelings. I don't have feelings for you, whatever. Or like, I don't see you that way. I think he says something along those lines.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, but then it just turns out, no, he just like, she's mean and unapproachable. So he's like, I'm not interested in that.
But he's also not gay because I think they ended up putting him with Anna Paquin and kind of like
Yes,
a
exactly. That's when the sort of a reveal of like, oh no, he's just, not into her. We go to the art show and I do love like it's not really like you don't really know what to expect and you're sort of put in the role of Freddie Prinze Jr. And so he gets there. I thought he was going to be sitting next to her and he's by himself. So you're like, did she even just not show up? And it turns out she's in the show.
yeah.
And then she makes him get in the show with no direction whatsoever. Just do something, entertain us.
And just like 1999 fashion, he pulls out a hacky sack.
And kills it.
That's
And
not
really,
him.
I read part of it's him, but yeah, it's
Well,
definitely
I
they
mean, the
brought
part
in.
of him where it's like the close up on his face, but actually doing the hacky sack from like a far away shot, it's obviously not him.
Yeah, I think some of the shots of him doing it are him, and then some of the like they fixed it. But yeah, yeah, he didn't do the whole thing for sure. Um, and then afterwards, he's like, you look beautiful without glasses, and she like fucking
Also,
freaks on him and runs away.
oh yeah, your eyes are beautiful. Because don't give me your eyes are beautiful shtick. Like she calls him out on it, which I really like. I do want to say, I'm pretty sure in Scott Pilgrim versus the World, where Chris Evans, I'm pretty sure they bring up a hacky sack too. I don't know. It's something about hacky sacks, man.
Um, I love all the little scenes with Brock and Taylor. Like they're making out, probably gonna have sex, and he's like, "No, I really need to watch me on the real world." And she sort of realizes in the moment, like, "Oh, I fucked up. This guy's not." But she can't like admit it to herself. She's like, "This is
Dude,
not
the
great."
the highlight of the Brock scenes is at that party where he pushes everyone off of like the middle of the living room dance
Mhm.
floor and he starts breaking it down and she's looking at him like I I don't want this. This is not my life.
So then Zach stops by. He says that she was wigging, major wiggage. I was like, I don't know if we're allowed to say that. And he threatens basically to stay around and play Sega with her brother unless she agrees to go to the beach. She's to go to the beach. And then Paul Walker shows up. And I'd say from this point on is when there's sort of the turn of that character, right? Where Paul Walker's just like the friend.
I
And
actually
then,
really like the turn of the character. It adds this underbelly jealousy that's like slowly creeping up on this friendship, you know?
you know what? This movie, I don't know if intentionally or if they knew what they were doing, but this movie pays homage to
Hmm.
Top Gun.
With the volleyball scene?
Paul Walker is Iceman. Not just the volleyball scene, but when I saw the volleyball scene, I was like, this reminds me of that. But then the locker room scene where Paul Walker is shirtless and they get into it is also like straight fucking out of Top Gun.
But that's the
Paul
big
Walker's
turn, right?
Paul Walker's blonde.
Yeah.
The other
Freddie Prinze
guys,
Jr. has dark features. Yeah.
yeah. So I do think like I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I definitely like you get that from those couple scenes. I will say though that Paul Walker's character is just like purely like an evil dick, and they also sort of play like sexual assault for a laugh at the end with him.
Remind me.
She has to use like a fucking rape whistle to get away from him.
Oh shit! Yeah, it's is it a bear spray or is it foghorn?
It's like a
Yeah,
foghorn sound, and she's like, "Yeah, I hope it doesn't ruin his hearing." And then at the end, they call him at graduation, and little Kim has to tell him like they're saying your name.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
that is not something you would necessarily do. Like,
I do like how Not Another Teen Movie handles it because Chris Evans does find the hotel room, breaks into the hotel room, and it's his character having sex with the Taylor character that she's supposed to be spoofing. And then, but she leaves him for like a Brock Hudson type, but he's instead of like a reality, Big Brother TV star, he's a like a artsy film major that he like has this like plastic bag that's continuously floating in the wind behind him.
that's American Beauty.
And so he punches her and then he punches him and then he goes to leave and he turns back around and punches the bag.
I really don't want you to explain Not Another Teen Movie to
I
me.
just want to say that that was better handled than She's All That.
So they invite Lainey to the party after this. I guess at one point they had to cut a bunch of the volleyball because Freddie Prinze Jr. wrote "Dule Hill sucks" in the sand, and they didn't notice it until they got to the dailies, and the director was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" He's like, "This isn't usable anymore." So she says she'll go to the party, but then she's like, "Nah, I have to clean the house." And then this is something that you brought up to me during a cut earlier, but Milo Ventimiglia is one of the JV soccer players, which I did not notice.
Oh, one of the JV soccer players. So he was one of the kids who came in to clean the house.
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
It's such a small part. Like, it's a nothing part. It's just, yeah, so I don't know.
I mean, he was 1999.
The way that so many people got brought onto this is, like, really funny. We can talk about it at the end, but, like, just having Kieran Culkin was just like, hey, maybe he'll do it. And they're like, there's like, there wasn't a lot of, like, alternatives for people. It was just like Harvey was like, hey, I want you. And they're like, fuck, yeah, sure, I'll do it. At that time, he was, like, the guy if he told you to do something. So
you better do it.
Yeah.
If he told you to do it. You better.
So the Anna Paquin does the makeover, and then one of the most iconic parts of this movie is the song that came with it, "Kiss Me" by Sixpence None the Richer,
which is the same song that is used in Not Another Teen Movie when she walks down the stairs.
It's a fucking banger to this day.
It is good. It is. What's so funny is that we've seen that in so many ways too, right? Like so many different movies. It's like the big reveal. It's like the makeover scene. What I like about this one is that it doesn't like prelude it with like a montage of her trying on dresses or like doing like the makeup and hair like 1,000 different ways. It's just like she goes up there and the next thing you know, she's coming down the stairs. There's no like stupid like thumbs up, thumbs down on, like that kind of stuff.
What's also great about this movie is there's a lot of subtlety in the Gabrielle Union character, sort of like getting sick of Taylor's shit and becoming more like Team Lainey. You know what I mean?
Like the whole, not just her, right? But the other one too. Like is that Lil Kim?
No, Little Kim she's not in the movie that much. The other girl's Chandler.
I thought there was
someone named Tamara Mello.
I thought there was a third girl.
Yeah, Little Kim is another girl.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, but that's not
she's
her.
The one. Little Kim is the one who tells Paul Walker they're calling his name at the end.
Oh, okay. So she is there, but she's not there all the time. And so yeah, I do like that too because it's just like they get sick of her. I love this. They get sick of her shit. You even have the rap battle, which it kind of looks like the school is split 50-50 on half of them like Taylor, half of them like Lainey, and we'll talk about the rap battle more, but the fact that it was so close, but she didn't win, I thought was really good.
Yeah, I think it's a smart decision. I couldn't remember how it ended because it wasn't very it wasn't very cliche the way they did it. And also, I think it's better to have Freddie Prinze Jr. lose the bet and like the reveal of him throwing the soccer ball at Lainey.
Yeah, that's true. So we don't see his dick.
So they go to the party, and Paul Walker's like, "What's going on? Is this just the bet? Or are you like in love with her now?" And one of the things the movie doesn't explain, partially because it doesn't matter, I guess it's so short, is what is Paul Walker's motivation in all of this?
He wants to bang Lainey now?
I don't know if it's just he wants to have sex, and now he's like, oh wow, she's hot, she's really hot. But it also feels like it's a jealousy of Zach more than anything is his motivation of like, I've been second banana to you and you're not shit. Also, Paul Walker is as fucking jacked as I've ever seen, which I'm curious if that was just coming off of Varsity Blues, which also, you're not playing football that much in that movie. Why were you so fucking jacked in this movie? Like his abs were protruding.
Yeah.
He was huge in this, like the couple shirtless scenes.
Yeah, that is true. He was abnormally buff. I don't know.
And then I love the Clea Duvall clown makeup thing. Like, you think like, oh, they're gonna have a nice moment. She gives her the tissue, and then she's like, "How does it feel to like, I'm rich and I get to go whatever art school, and you have to clean my throw up?"
The Fulton scene where Dean is bragging that he's gonna get laid with Lainey, and Fulton comes out of the bathroom stall. I was just like, yes, bitch. And he runs to he tells Anna Paquin about it at the prom, and they try to get Freddie Prinze Jr. off the stage
Yep.
to tell him. I was rooting for them. I was like, I hope they get together.
So then at the end of the party, Taylor confronts Lainey. And I guess if you pay attention closely, the drink she pours on Lainey was originally one that either Lainey or Freddie Prinze Jr. was holding, and it got passed around the party. At the time, I was like, oh, this is why she's going to lose prom queen, because I couldn't remember like what happened at the end. But there's this line right after this from Freddie Prinze Jr., which I actually thought was like kind of a poignant thing in the movie where he's like, sometimes when you open up to people, you have to let the bad in with the good, which is like, it's true. Like when you open up, it's not all going to be all good, especially with
Right.
like in high school. Right. So
Right.
I thought it was a nice little bit. And then they go back to school the next day.
What are you going to do? Cry?
She's like, Jodie Lynn O'Keefe is like such a perfect bitch in this movie. Like she's so perfect for that role. I was reading interviews with these people, and Freddie Prinze Jr., Rachel Lee Cook, Jodie Lynn O'Keefe, all of them were like, I was a nerdy loner in high school. Like I wasn't like the shit. And it's just so funny, but they all like got these characters from like people they knew in high school.
That's true. Yeah.
And she was like, when I got this part, she's like, I had a girl in mind, and that's exactly how I played it. And I was like, and she's fucking perfect. And so you find out about her getting nominated, Lainey getting nominated for prom, and then you get the 911 page from Taylor, and you think it's going to be about the prom thing, but then it's about Brock, and she gives that speech, about, oh, you thought we were going to stay together? Oh, that's so cute. So and then she finds out about Lainey.
Okay, this makes no sense to me. They get the pamphlet of like Lainey's campaign in her hand, right? It's like a pink poster. They get the 911 call from Taylor. They go to her immediately, and she's crying. And I can't remember if it's Chandler, Lil' Kim, or Gabrielle Union. I don't remember which one, but they have a tissue in their hand. She like rests it on her like side mirror of the car. She takes it out of her hand, like blows her nose with it, looks up and sees someone passing by with a Lainey prom queen poster.
Right.
And I was like, what a missed gag. And I'm pretty sure it maybe have something to do with the writing or the editing. Something went wrong. Wouldn't it have made much more sense if they already had the poster that said Lainey's nomination as prom queen in her hand? It would be so much better if she pulled that out of her hand, blew her nose with it, and looked at it, and then saw that it was Lainey prom, and that's how she knew. It's so disjointed on how she grabs a random tissue and then just looks up. I don't know.
I think you're overthinking it.
It just felt like it could have been it was right there, like it was perfectly right there, and they just something happened.
Uh, maybe. So after this, we have the locker room thing, which we talked about, and then we have sort of a little bit of the turning point in the movie, like the inciting incident to like the resolution or to the climax to the resolution. But Zach goes to Lainey talking about her dead mom, which I guess that was Bonnie Bedelia, who was the aunt of Kieran Culkin. That was just they used the picture of Bonnie Bedelia. And he's like, you have to move past your dead mother. You have to be able to. And she's like, well, you have to move past your dad and his expectations. And then the movie doesn't explain why he's like almost kisses her and then just decides not to. I guess it's he almost just has like a paralysis about life. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he doesn't want to do anything. He doesn't want to make any decisions whatsoever.
I like how she goes to Fulton and she's like, "Am I kissable?" He's like, "Oh, I don't want to think of you that way."
I love that you keep calling him Fulton, which was his name in the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah.
Then there's the weird real world dream sequence, and then the freestyle in the courtyard. And that freestyle, apparently, they just had extras that were chilling between whatever, and they started just fucking freestyling. And the director was like, "Can you do something for us?"
And
And so
that's
that's
when the title of the movie is mentioned.
She's All That. We talked about the Sarah Michelle Gellar cameo, and then this is the pube scene, which is like, in retrospect, like this is another one of those things that I never like to say like, oh, ages poorly unless it like really does. It just ages differently where it's like today when you have that character making people eat pubes, you're kind of like, it's a little far, man. It's like it's a little too much. And also like you're not
Yep.
beating those kids up. You're a fucking soccer player. Like you can't fight. Look at you.
I mean, Freddie Prinze Jr. could
Freddie
that
Prinze Jr. actually apparently is like fucking big into jujitsu and probably could kick both of our
I
asses.
was gonna say he could kill us.
But Zach Seiler, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I
that
wasn't
might
too
be
scared
true
of him.
too. I do want to say though, it's not like he just like got his own pubes or made them pull out their pubes to just eat it. It was like poignant because they were going to do that to Simon, and he just turned the table on them. So it's not like it's a far-reaching, weird, sadistic thing that he just pulled out of his ass, because those would be ass hairs. No, but it fit the punishment. Like the punishment fit the crime.
Yeah, I mean, I get it because that's what they're going to do to the kid, but
Although
it
I don't
was
know what he was threatening, right? Like he was threatening. He's like, "You eat it or something, right? I'm gonna beat you up. I just be beaten up. I'd rather just be beaten up."
yeah, I'm definitely not eating someone else's pubes. I would if they're my pubes, I'd just turn it and eat a different bite. Wait, yeah,
I if it was someone else's pubes, I just get beaten up.
I'm just like, no, what the fuck are you gonna beat me up right here? You gonna get thrown out of school?
In
Like,
front of everyone. Go ahead.
Paul Walker asks Lainey to prom, and then we get this big scene with Zach and his dad, and he's like, "You can't fix your mistakes through me." And I was like, I didn't get any of this from this movie. This is the first time I'm hearing like your dad works too much and you're upset. Like you're too successful as a family.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So Zach's dad, Freddie Prinze Jr.'s dad, is played by Tim Matheson, who starred in Animal House. And Matheson, his character at the end of Animal House, is said to have moved to California and become a doctor, which he is in the film.
So that's what happened to him.
He then became the father of Freddie Prinze Jr.
Is Varsity Blue where you told me that Vanderbeek almost got his character almost got played by Chris Klein?
Yeah.
Okay, because I could see Chris Klein fitting somewhere into this movie.
I don't know. I mean, Chris Klein, because the things I've seen him in, American Pie, and then
Just Friends.
Election,
Yeah.
Just Friends too. He's in Just Friends. At least he's playing like a adorable idiot with like some underhanded stuff. But like he's just sort of also always playing like this vacant guy. So like the Paul Walker character is sort of like a bad dude with like a lot going on underneath. So I don't know if I see Chris Klein in that.
Well, Chris Klein would have been quite a bit younger than those guys too. He would probably be one of the like Simon age group characters.
In 1999, he was in Election.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
So, um, after that, we get the Taylor asks Zach, and she's like, "Well, I hope you don't think you're going with Laney because she's going with Paul Walker." And then he immediately goes over and is like, "I thought we were going together." She's like, "You fucking didn't even ask me." And then Paul Walker, in like the dick move, is like, "Is this about the bet? You have to stop this." And he's like, "Laney, it was so stupid." And like, I don't know. Do you think that like Zach should have seen this coming? That his friend, keeps saying Paul Walker, but Dean was gonna just be a dick. Like, why are you friends with this guy?
I think to a certain point during the movie, he should have seen it coming. But like at the beginning of this, they seem like genuine friends. It's just the whole bet brought out this like jealousy that Paul Walker always had for. Yeah, we keep saying Paul Walker, but Dean always had for uh Zach is his name.
Zach is Freddie Prinze Jr.'s name. Dean is Paul Walker's name.
No, I know, Zach. So Dean always had this like underlying jealousy of Zach, I guess, and then uh, I, which is weird because it only feels like this is being brought out because all the attention is on Zach. Like all the women are attending Zach's needs, and then I guess Paul Walker's like, my best friend spends all the time with the loser chick. It's not good. I'm gonna, I don't understand really why Paul Walker Dean is like all of a sudden feeling his feelings.
Yeah, I don't understand it. So then we have a nice Kevin Pollak scene. He finally gets something to do besides the Jeopardy thing where he gets all the questions wrong is really funny. Apparently, it's just something they tried like at the end, and then they included it. They're like, "Why don't you just start coming up with fake answers?"
I loved his answers because his answers were sometimes they were like actually pretty close, and then sometimes they were just so stupid.
And then Lainey is not going to go with Paul Walker, but he shows up anyway, so she decides to go. And that dress, let me tell you, this is a nice prom dress.
Dude, Paul Walker annoys me so much in this scene because he comes off like genuine, and I'm like, oh, eat shit, dude.
And then he's like the scene in the bathroom where you're just like, "Oh, I'm getting fucking laid tonight." And I love Dulay's like, "You're not getting shit." He's like, "Yeah, I am." There is this weird thing. So Zach takes his sister, and then Dulé takes Gabrielle Union, which I still don't know if they're dating or just decided to go together. But they're like having this conversation where they're like, "Well, you nominated her, and you did it," and they're kind of whispering to each other, and you're like, "All right, well, what's about to happen? Like, do they already know the results, or like nothing seems to come from that?"
I think it's
Uh,
because Gabrielle Union, because it's a plot point in the movie that no one goes against Taylor in the election, and so the fact that someone else was nominated already destroys her, much less almost getting 50% of the votes.
yeah, I think like 46. So they have the dance off. Uh, Jodie Lynn O'Keefe like fucking killed it in the dance off. Like, you think she's like an
They
actual dance?
all they all killed it in the dance off. I was like, if my prom was like this, I would have maybe gone.
Did you know that Dule Hill is like a very good tap dancer?
Yes,
You knew that because of your psych stuff.
my psych stuff and my whole stuff.
Just
That
knowing
sounded weird, but yeah,
you're just a big Dule guy, or are you a big
I'm
tap
just
dance guy?
I'm just a big Dule Hill guy. Yeah,
So we get the
dude,
whole
it actually makes me want to watch Psych all over again. That was so good.
uh, go for it. I'm not going to stop you. So Anna Paquin and Jesse Fulton hit it off. They're talking. The bathroom scene happens, and then we get the Zach becomes prom queen, and then it's actually
Zach becomes prom queen.
prom king. And then there actually is like a lot of tension and like, oh shit, this could go either way. Like for a movie where the movie does not like dip into the cliche too much to me, or at least it's done so well that it doesn't feel that way. So when you're watching the scene, you're like, this literally could go either way. I don't know what's going to happen here.
It's so funny because I literally just finished like the day before finishing She's All That. I just finished the new 2024 Mean Girls.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call that? A remake? Yeah. And it follows the same line of at the end of the original Mean Girls where she wins prom queen or homecoming or whatever it is, and she has that thing where she's like, all this for just a piece of plastic that I could just easily, and she snaps it in two and she's like, tonight we're all winners, and she snaps the tiara in like a million pieces and gives it all out. I was thinking that when Chris Evans was when Freddie Prinze Jr. was giving his speech, I was thinking that he was gonna like he's like, tonight we're all winners, and just start snapping off the thing.
He did not do that.
No.
That didn't happen.
Well, that's not really the it is and it isn't the moral of the story, right? Like anyone can be popular, but like the point is more focused on like the individual of Lainey winning out.
So Lainey loses. She leaves with Paul Walker. He's like, "You want to go?" And then Zach is given information too late that Paul Walker's trying to sleep with her. So he's driving around, calling all the hotels, can't get anything. I wonder how Paul Walker's night ended. Do you think he went to the hotel to sleep or like jerk
That was
off,
a
or did he
that
just
was a
go home?
that was a $300 hotel room.
Yeah,
I yeah, I like to think that it. Uh, I don't know. Invite Taylor over.
she might.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not another teen movie again. Quit doing that. And then Zach is like, I'm not getting a hold of her at any of these hotels, so I'm just going to go to her house and hope. And we brought this up, but they sort of make a joke out of the fact that he was trying to force himself on her. It's very rapey feeling.
So before we get into that, or maybe we just leave it at that, I do love that Kieran Culkin is not Kieran Culkin. Yes, yes, yes. He's there with his dad, and his dad is trying to teach him about pools. He's like, if you're going to help me this summer, you might as well know the difference between a square pool and a round pool or whatever. And he's like falling asleep, and then she comes in, only for it to be revealed that Freddie Prinze Jr. is in the room this
Just,
entire
just
time.
standing up straight at attention.
Like he's like, "Hey, dude, I'll help you this summer if your fucking sleepy kid won't.
Yes.
Teach me about pools, Dad."
So then they go upstairs so that they can have a dance. I think Kiss Me starts playing again.
They go out in the backyard.
And I don't know what the fuck this line is, but she's like, I feel just like Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman, but not the hooker part.
but not the hooker part.
Could have done a little better, I think.
I don't know. That was pretty funny. I do like the dad, who obviously he's a pool guy, so of course he has a decked out backyard. He turns on the romance lights.
He's got a sweet pool set up because he owns his own business. I like the part where earlier the dad's like, yeah, people make fun of me because I'm a pool guy. He's like, I own my own fucking business and I pay for, I support my kids. Like, what's wrong with that? We find out the term of the bet. Zach walks naked, and then the film just ends with her reaction to seeing his dick.
Everyone's reaction.
Do you think he fluffed it a little bit beforehand? He's like, all right, let's get this
little... I would have.
If it me? Full attention. Boner.
Full attention. Wow, that's... What's motivating that, I wonder?
Well, what you should have done is you take something and then you put it in the soccer ball. Cut a hole.
Yeah,
that's fine. That probably goes against the terms of the bet.
Yeah, maybe. No hands, Mom.
So, overall, what'd you think of the movie?
I liked it. I think this month is interesting because we've done movies that in pop culture has been referenced time and time again, not just in Not Another Teen Movie, but in across all different sorts of media. And it's kind of good that we're doing them now, because now I'm like, all right, I'm understanding more life and the universe in general. But no, I mean, I like this. I think I kind of ruined myself watching Not Another Teen Movie before watching this, because I was just like, where's the... I need every scene to have a fucking gag in it. What am I doing? No, but it's good. It's good. I actually, it's better than I thought it would be, and I enjoyed it more than I thought I would enjoy it at this day and age.
Yeah, it definitely held up a lot more than I thought it would have, remembering it. It's 25 years old at this point. A couple of the little things. So, I said Harvey was very involved with this. So he got Kieran Culkin and Anna Paquin by basically promising them, do this for me and I'll get you a bigger part in something else. He wanted to cut the dance scene, but gave a note that he wanted a sword fight in the movie, like the drama department or something. Freddie Prinze Jr. has a story. He's just like, it made no fucking sense. And then in another movie I'm in, he wanted a sword fight in that too. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, what? Like, why do you keep doing this? And then there's this funny line from Paul Walker where he was like reluctant to do the movie because he's like, you don't want the second banana to be better looking than your lead guy, which is kind of funny considering like in the beginning I was like, hey, what would you think about him taking the lead role?
That's funny.
So in a 2014 interview, the director said that Josh Hartnett was considered for Zach, and then Lily Sobieski, Mina Savari, and Jordana Brewster auditioned for the role of Lainey. And then the last thing, because we talked about him so much, and so I have to leave off with a story of him being an asshole because that's what he is. So this film was released on the day Freddie Prinze Jr.'s dad took his own life.
Holy crap.
And
Okay.
Freddie Prinze Jr. was like, I don't think I can go to the premiere. And Harvey was quoted as saying, and this is what I've read, so don't sue me from prison, Harvey. I don't care if your father died today, you're going to the premiere of the movie. So that's who that guy is.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of knew that. So you were saying like Harvey Weinstein was trying to fit in sword fights into like his random movies, right? And it reminds me of that John Peters story that Kevin Smith says, who's like, and in the Superman, I want a giant spider. I want him to fight a giant spider. And it's funny because this came out the same year. Wild Wild West is like, and then I'm just sitting there, and then all of a sudden, a fucking giant mechanical spider comes out. And I mean, I guess producers have like their niche, right? Like they have some have giant spiders and some like molesting people.
Is that a Kevin Smith story or a Kevin Kline story?
It's Kevin Smith because Kevin Smith was
Kevin Kline's in Wild Wild West, though.
No, I know, but Kevin Smith was going to write the Superman produced by John Peters.
Oh.
I didn't know John Peters was married to Barbara Streisand. Huh.
A lot of information that doesn't connect to this movie at all. Well, thanks for listening to another episode of I Finally Watched. This is David.
And this is Alon, and I finally watched She's All That.